Thank you so much. Let's get back now to the conversation. I'm very sure now that we're all good. So you were talking about ADA.
Yes. Now, when the coalition commenced the talks, we knew that because we're dealing with an INEC that we cannot trust and a ruling party that has methodically put INEC as if it's a department of its ruling class, we needed to have options. So committees were set up. Some committees were to look into the possibility of registering a new political party. Some committees we are negotiating with existing political parties to know whether we can run on the platform. So what you just saw with Ada
or ADA.
ADA.
Or Ada Obi.
However, what you saw with it was the committee now writing a letter of intent to register the association as a political party. But here is the catch. By the provisions of the INEC regulations and guidelines for political parties 2022, when you make that application of intent, INEC has the luxury of 90 days to even reply to you, to tell you whether they would have accepted your name, your symbol, and your acronym. After the 90 days, then you have 30 days, assuming they say, we have accepted, and then you can go on. Then you go into their online registration platform, and you have 30 days to file in your constitution, your manifesto, your headquarters, with the land documents to show you own it or you are a tenant. Then the list of your executives, the members of your association, the register, and affidavit. And then when you file that in what we call Form 15A1, INEC has another 60 days of luxury to vet all those things before coming back to you to say, okay, we don't accept. Or we give you prima facie, you can tamper with this, and then have 90 days from the time of your application. So you're talking about 7 months to register a new political party. Now, a new political party, you will now start building the new political party from the polling unit. We are talking about 1 year, 6 months to the general election. That option may be tedious, it may be clumsy, but we still have it as an option because there is a committee that is working towards it. And what I just told you then was paragraph 2II of the regulations and the guidelines. We have another committee that is talking about some already established political party. What people fail to understand was that APC did not go for a new political party. It was a merger. So they didn't have to start building from the polling unit.
That is different arrangement. And under the law, different from
registering a new political party when you want to merge. So, and then when you want to merge, its parties already existing with structures. So when people are talking about a new political party, yes, it's an option we're considering. But because of the time constraint, that's not the only option. But I can guarantee you, by the grace of God, in the next 2 weeks, it may be before then, a categorical statement will be issued and the world will know which one we have chosen, because time is not on our side.
So you are in one of the committees working on the ground.
Well, we want to operate in a manner that is not so, we don't want to explain anything, but just know that I'm part of the coalition.
And Mr. Peter Obi is there too. Atiku Abubakar is there. El-Rufai is there. Now, Nasir El-Rufai, David Mark, all of you are in that group.
What is a coalition? Combine, an alliance for combined action. So it's open to everybody.
How commerce affair?
In Nigeria, a political party is constitutionally open to everybody. Now, if you want to be a part of a coalition, nobody's going to stop you. But at this stage of talking, you will know that there will always be different layers of talking, different committees set up. But I can tell you, the engine rooms of this coalition, a lot of them you don't even know. APC will not know what hits them coming 2027. You know, when you are dealing with the ruling party and you're in the opposition party, you have to possess exceptional skills, exceptional attributes. You must have to be strong, but you should not be brutal. You should not be reckless, but you have to be courageous. You should not be priggish, but you have to be honest. You should not be proud, but you have to be confident. You should not be a braggart or self-conceited, but you have to be intelligent. You should not be sentimental, but you have to be very compassionate. And of course, you have to be charismatic. Now, all these attributes, if you don't have it, remember, you cannot outdo the ruling party in terms of resources. You have to inspire the people by these attributes so that even when you don't give them money, they will be able to be convinced. But here is the problem, why you should not have the other side of what I was saying. The ruling party, with all their braggadocio, they will use all those equipment they have, that whenever you show strength, they would want to tell the world you are brutal. Whenever you show courage, they want to tell the world you're reckless. So that they will put in you that fear that you should not exhibit those attributes. That's why I say in 2027, we are going to match them by showing strength and courage. And they would never intimidate us by trying to make the world to think that we are reckless and that we are brutal. Because when you are defending your own turf, as in when they want to rig election this time, we have to demonstrate strength and courage.
So you are going for the roots, for the muscle, and for the energy of the APC. You're not even waiting until after the 2027 election. You want to take them out, because a lot of people say, yes, whatever your coalition is doing is not going to bear any fruit in 2027. It's going to be after the election, because it's now too late for them to play any damage against the APC. Considering all of the defection, everybody seems to be going to the APC now.
Yes, that's why I told you we will not succumb to their braggadocio. All those things are, okay, let's talk about the Northeast. When they were telling you endorsement, what happened? They went to Northeast and made a vote of no confidence on Shetima. And you saw the crisis that erupted. Forget whatever they are telling you. They went to Northwest, and people were pulling down the billboards of Tinubu. They went to Benue, the same thing. And a man was on a television station, and he told you, any arrangement, I don't care what it is, any arrangement that will take out Tinubu, I will be involved. That is the state that Nigerians have entered into. You're talking about suicide bombing, returning to Nigeria. 18 was just cleared up in Borno, in something that was anticipated because the governor kept shouting about it. You're talking about people now so jittery about their life that they can kill any foreigner around them. It happened in Plateau. It happened in Edo, just because communities are so tensed that any little thing makes them to start killing. If they do not defend themselves, they will be killed. When you allow them to defend themselves, they will go to the other extreme of killing innocent people.
But here's a question.
Yes.
So, and I see, I'll mention 5 personalities for you that gave some level of breath and energy to the APC's merger. One of them is the president, Bola Tinubu, of the APC. He was a very strong pillar that came into the merger from the ACN. You talk about Atiku Abubakar, who was emerging from the PDP. You talk about Rotimi Amechi, who was also emerging from the PDP, an aggrieved man in the PDP as a governor of Rivers State at the time. You also will talk about someone like Bukola Saraki, who was also in the PDP, who came into the APC. And you talk all of these people, if you mention Saraki out of the APC, Rotimi Amechi looks like his heart is out of the party. Atiku Abubakar sings out of the APC. So the only people that you probably will, and you have the Muhammad Buhari of the CPC, then Rocha Sokorocha of the APGA wing. Now, all of these people who understood how APC was formed are now part of the coalition. Would you say that knowledge, that understanding, especially of Bola Tinubu politics, is enough this time around?
Now, people were not in that strait when you were talking about as they are in now. Things have gone so bad that what we have in Nigeria today is the people of Nigeria against APC, the ruling party. It was not that bad during Goodluck Jonathan's time. It was the sentiment of zoning. It was the sentiment that Yar'Adua died in office. It was the sentiment that we would not allow Yar'Adua's death to be used against us. So there was a kind of sentiment flowing then. The economy was good. The GDP then was $500 and something billion. Today, the GDP is about $100 and something billion. Today, as at that time, Nigerians went to the streets for an increment of oil price by 25 naira, about 65 to 95. Today, under Bola Tinubu, we are paying 1,000 naira per liter, almost. And so, as at that time, it was the elites against the elites. But now, it's the people of Nigeria against Tinubu. And that is why a man is telling you any arrangement.
Who was that?
I'm talking about the former governor of Jigawa State, Lamido.
Sule Lamido.
Yes.
Well, so he has been corrected when he said that Tinubu is a later saint of the June 12th struggle and that Tinubu supported the annulment, which the presidency
I don't even know why
I
don't even know why people say that Tinubu fought for democracy. I don't understand.
He was a backer of the Nadeco.
Excuse me? From London? 24 hours electricity?
Most of the
pipeline water flowing freely for you. You're enjoying yourself.
Were in exile.
And those ones in exile, they are exiled politicians.
But he was also.
How can you say
he was also on the street
for democracy
with those who on the inside in Nadeco knows the role Bola Tinubu played. Because some of us are not children then.
So the businessman supplying money, but you would not allow any personal discomfort on yourself.
So you didn't think that
when things became
Tinubu's role was that significant?
When things became so tough in Nigeria, you ran away. He demonstrated how he ran away on television then. He said he acted like an old man and then crossed the border. And they're telling me he fought for democracy? How? People died here. Abraham Adesonya was put in jail. Bedbug everywhere in his body. He came out from the jail. He did not run away. And this is a politician that during the regime of Abacha, he ran away. And you're saying he fought for democracy? How? Because the people that were dying, what did they then fight for? Those people that were put in Gulag. A man is enjoying himself, like I always said, in an Owambe, moves in London. And he said he fought for who? I was in Nigeria. I was grown up. I knew the people that fought for me. I knew the people that died for democracy. Those ones I will respect. But they can't tell me that with your money as rich as you are, and that's what most of them will do if Nigeria collapses. That's why the people of Nigeria must hold up Nigeria, must not allow it to fall. Because once it falls, all these pretenders that they fight for democracy, they will all run away. And they will go abroad.
You were once a believer of Bola Tinubu. What changed?
I will not understand what you mean, believer of Bola Tinubu. I was in the same party with him, APC, at a certain point.
But he was the leader of your party at the time.
He was.
If you didn't believe in the party,
yes. I mean, when he became the presidential candidate and picked a fellow Muslim, I left. So if I was a believer of him, I would have followed.
But if not for that decision, you probably would have been in APC by now, still being in APC.
If they had done the right things, which they ought to do, I wouldn't have left APC.
But look at it now.
I have my principles.
Yeah, look at what is going on.
The security was degenerating. The economy was going down. And then they now added the fact of nepotism. And then our inclusivity was destroyed under Bola Tinubu. So he even gave me no option. For me, that believes in our diversity, that believes that the Christians should be allowed to perch, the Muslims should be allowed to perch, the North should be allowed to perch, the South should be allowed to perch. As an artist, when I go through, bed of flowers, and I see different flowers with different colors mixing up, it gives me that beautiful aesthetic feeling. I love diversity. Anybody that is cantankerous to our spirit of diversity, I will not support you.
But look at it.
Yes, in appointment.
So you look at what is going on in the APC. And I mentioned virtually everyone that you see in the video.
Yes.
In that coalition, they were formerly in the APC. What is the difference between this coalition and the present APC? Because they were more or less, a few years ago, all of them singing from the same hymn book. So why should Nigerians see the coalition and the APC differently?
Now, everybody you see in APC, we are formerly in PDP, apart from probably Tinubu and Oshomole. Every other person came from PDP. So if I want to take your argument, that means we should go back, that it is still PDP.
Some people were in CPC, some were in ANPP. Some people have never been in PDP before.
I agree.
In the present
We're talking
APC.
about in present situation.
APC, in the present APC. I can mention list of people who have never been in PDP.
No, we're talking about the prominent
ANPP,
ones.
And
good. You just named the ones that were in APC. Most of them came from PDP. In those names that you named, and went to APC. So they were actually returning to their home.
The question here, Mr. Okonkwo, is the fact that why should Nigeria, because all of a sudden, your description of the APC is as such like a group of people who are impoverishing, a group of people who are causing Nigerian pains. But the fact remains that the ideologies of these people that you are describing and labeling in this manner, they were in the same. They were formed from the same fabric. So how do you then tell Nigerians that, oh look, these same people are now born again and they are different from this other lot? What makes a difference?
I was with you on this show when we were campaigning for 2023. I told you I do no longer pay any respect to any so-called manifesto, if you recall. And that is because they were written by brilliant professors. Some of the candidates do not even know what is in those manifestos. Is it not happening now? The president, in their manifesto, they promised 12% growth of GDP per year. What are we seeing? So he may not even know what was in the manifesto. Did he ever attend any debate? Did he ever attend any program to defend the manifesto? I said any candidate that cannot come and sit on the hot seat and share interviewing the person, Nigerians should not take the person seriously, and they should not think about what is in the manifesto, because the president or whoever must be the candidate might not even know what is in the manifesto. So we have come to that part where people now know that even parties that have beautiful ideologies, those ideologies, once you elect the candidate, if he is not intellectually savvy, those ideologies will be...
So because the reasoning of so many Nigerians is that all these politicians are the same. And difficult to believe them because they're more or less the same. What message, I'm saying, what are you telling yourselves in the coalition?
What we're saying...
Because there must be a message that will resonate.
Absolutely.
Saying it's Nigerians against the APC. APC will say they are with the Nigerian people, they are for the Nigerian people. Who should we now believe as Nigerian people?
Now, let me be very honest with you. In Nigeria, just like when we had military regime, any revolution by any officer of the middle or lower cadre never succeeded in Nigeria. Whether from Kaduna and Zogu, whether through Boka Soka Dinka, whether through Oka. And there is a reason for that. And that is why in Nigeria, we need a man of conscience who is experienced, who might even be from the old cadre, but has made up his mind that he wants a new Nigeria. If you're expecting a younger person to come in the midst of these sharks, they will swallow him up. And I'm telling you, an Obama can come to Nigeria and will not win election. Not because people will not vote for him, but they will steal it from him. So what we have now in Nigeria is that we have a system that needs to be fought, that needs to be taken out.
Can you trust the people we are seeing in that video? That the new wave of Nigerian politicians that are going to cause change? Because if some people have said Nigerians rejected PDP.
Yes.
You are saying Nigerians no longer like APC, but these are a combination of the two parties.
Okay, now let's look at it this way. Assuming an article comes into power, assuming, and takes us back to the Obasanjo years, he would have been a hero. He would have paid up all our debts. He would not acquire new debts. He would have made sure there's no security problem all around Nigeria. He was the vice president. I'm just using him as an example because he's the only person that has been in the presidency from 1999. Assuming he can even take us, because it is the terribleness of the successive government that keeps beatifying the predecessors. I never knew any government would be worse than Buhari's government. I must be very honest with you.
Are you saying that the Tinubu government is
the worst in the history of this country?
Is that fair to say?
How would
Based on the policy direction of this government?
How would I define a president that from the first day in office, when even there is a law that says fuel subsidy will go by June 30th, and the first thing you were able to say, fuel subsidy gone. And on top of it, you floated the naira. Who told you?
Is it a bad thing to do? Flotation of the naira?
Let me tell you.
Isn't that what a lot of the economists were?
It's a terrible thing to do. Let me tell you why. And I'm an economist. The only thing that will sustain your naira is a strong industrial base and a steady export market. What is sustaining your naira vis-a-vis foreign currency is not your ability to print more naira. It's your ability to export more products.
Even when your naira is totally dependent on foreign consumption.
That's what I'm saying.
What are you producing?
That's why you cannot float it. What you should do is to make policies and implement policies that will sustain naira. How do you do it? You must endeavor to put in policies that will stop and minimize your import, so that your export will be higher, so that the demand for naira will be higher than the demand for
So it was a bad decision as far as
very terrible.
But let me ask you quickly, sir.
And the policies they are implementing, they are increasing importation more.
Now?
They just liberalize your importing rice again, importing this, and that is why the people that are producing locally are folding up and suffering.
Let's come to this and quickly. There are those who believe that Tinubu will have an easy work to victory in 2027. That in fact, his 33% victory margin will be doubled in 2027.
Yes.
Are you worried about that?
That's why I told you that it's braggadocio. Me bragging.
So
where is the vote coming from?
You think it cannot happen?
Nigerians would rather not go and vote at all.
Their party controls more than half of the state of the federation.
More people endorse Goodluck Jonathan.
So that could be a template.
For 2015 election.
Are you
endorsing Tinubu?
Are you aware that?
Are
you aware that there are those who are saying that the chairmanship, the pro tem chairman is a southern man. It means that there's a likelihood that the new coalition presidential candidate might come from the north.
I have said it clearly. Nobody is going to stop anybody from contesting for the presidential ticket in the coalition. Nobody.
So an El-Rufai can be a candidate?
If he wants to.
Can be a candidate?
Yes.
Even when there is a Buhari of 8 years, Bola Tinubu of 4 years?
And that is
would that be a balance in the minds of Nigerians?
No. Let's come. That is why I am going to support, after this time around, 1 term for any executive position, 1 term of 6 years. Because these 2 terms bring us into confusion when somebody had taken one term. Why? Politicians have shown that it's very difficult to trust, even when the person promises one term. So if somebody had taken a term from the South, and it is in middle of the game, and the person is not performing like Tinubu, you're going to get into a problem. If you get another Southerner, he's going to be there for 8 years. The North will say, no, this is injustice.
All right.
Nobody will allow Tinubu to continue.
Let's close quickly. And
Yes.
just in less than 60 seconds.
So the best is to throw it open. When the best comes in, every other person will support the best. And the person will promise to do 4 years.
You told me in an interview that Atiku and Peter Obi are none of your option.
And Tinubu. That was my opinion. That was my personal opinion.
In the coalition, it does look like you might be back to a man who believe that you betrayed him, that you are like a Judas.
Well, you know, I will allow Obi to be entitled to his own opinion. In our religion, you don't fight for God. Since he made an insinuation that Jesus had 12 and one turned against him, that means he's even claiming now he's the Jesus in the analogy. So he made an insinuation of betrayal.
Peter Obi?
No. How can you betray somebody you're not working for?
He didn't pay you money throughout all the time?
I didn't ask for any.
He didn't give you a house?
I did not ask for any.
Did you get a house?
I did not ask for any.
Did you get?
I couldn't have gotten.
Did you get money?
I did not ask for any.
So how did you betray him?
No, he should tell
Were
the
you
world.
working behind him, against him?
When I worked for him, I never consulted any politician. And I'm making a public statement. I never talked with any political party.
So you were 100% loyal to him?
100%.
So why does he think that you are disloyal?
When I left, I told the whole world. And your program was even one of those programs that I used to tell the whole world. I said, from now onwards, I am not going to speak for this person again. They don't understand what betrayal means. But again, anybody who is writing or saying anything about me is a reflection of who that person is, not a reflection of who I am.
All right.
For I know who I am. I am Kenneth Okonkwo. My name responds only to the service to the Nigerian people and not to the slander of the Nigerian braggarts.
Kenneth Okonkwo,
Yes.
Thank you so much indeed. This
God
time
bless you.
around, there is nothing is looming, right?
No, nothing is looming.
Thank you, sir. Kenneth Okonkwo. We take a break. And when we return, we will be talking to the APC spokesperson, Mr. Felix Morka, in what appears that the ruling party may be under intense pressure over the emergence and strategies of the opposition coalition. We'll be right back after this break, everyone.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Welcome back, everyone. Tensions within the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. And it does look at that tension is dipping as the party grapples with intense wrangling over internal endorsements and growing factionalism highlighted by the national leadership's May endorsement of President Bola Tinubu for a second term. A move that has sparked backlash from northern heavyweights like Senator Ali Ndume and former Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who have accused the party of stifling intra-party democracy. Meanwhile, the national chairman, Abdullah Ganduje, has downplayed the opposition's emerging coalition, incorporating figures like Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, El-Rufai, calling it a failed joint venture, despite growing defections of governance and lawmakers to the APC, where this perceived feud has laid bare the party's internal dynamics, just as the opposition intensify efforts through talks of mega coalitions and potential new party formations to capitalize on APC disunity ahead of the 2027 elections. I'm being joined to unpack all of these issues, whether the APC is really or can reconcile these divisions or risk implosion. Let's speak with the party's National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Felix Morka. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And those who have prophesied, said that your party is going for the reins, that the party is in flames.
They're wishful thinkers.
Did you hear my former speaker, the former speaker on the program?
Your guests?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
And your party is in trouble.
No, we're not. I must say that you are a very patient man. To listen to all that sound and fury, signifying nothing, really. I mean, Kenneth has his manners about him, his way of speaking. But, I listened very carefully. I was in a waiting room, and he said nothing that made any sense. Not even his own comments about the prospects of the so-called coalition. He was just rambling around. You asked smart questions to which he gave answers that didn't suggest, any meaning to the answers, to the questions that you asked. Our party is not in trouble of any kind. We are waxing strong. The APC and its prospects have never been better. You see, look, there's a reason that serious citizens, people who have, I think, been put to the test in their constituencies, who have won elections, who have the backing of their people, who are making deliberate decisions to come into our party. You can't, it's not one, it's not two, it's not three. It's a whole movement of people into our party. You can't suggest, possibly, that all of these people put together are not thinking enough or don't know what they're doing. I mean, if you did that as, someone like Kenneth would suggest, then you don't know what's going on.
Because the latest defection, either from Akwa Ibom or from Delta, there are those who have linked issues of survivor of some of these politicians. The reason why they had to move from their party in their comfort zone. These people are traditionally holders of the ticket or the mandate of the people of those states. Delta, traditionally a PDP state. Akwa Ibom state, the same thing. So why the fear of moving into the APC? And there are those who say it's a fear of the possible annihilation of the APC government.
How does that make any sense, Shehu?
Have you not heard it?
Look,
for example, in your state, Delta.
How does that make any sense?
That it is an arm twisting, political arm twisting.
I'm twisting by who and of who?
By the state.
Look, listen.
Allegedly.
How do you untwist in our, democracy, in our presidential system of government, where the governor of the state is the chief executive officer of the state, who controls the resources and the powers vested by the Constitution in a governor in that state? How do you untwist the governor? By what
you think
device?
It's possible?
No, shall we say, look,
or the backers of the governors.
Shall we see people who say that simply, they just completely, I think, affected by what appears to be APC's ascendancy.
So is it the factions? You would say the factions are organic?
They're totally organic. You see, Delta State is one of the richest states in the country. That's my state. And
yes, is too.
As you said, my state has been governed by the PDP consistently since 1999. So, when the governor of that state and all of the leaders of the PDP in that state decide that they would move together into the APC, how can you possibly suggest that somebody twisted them? How come that twisting didn't happen since 1999?
Are you hearing this for the first time?
I'm not hearing. People say that, but I don't take them seriously.
But look, did you hear the comment about your party up against the Nigerian people ahead of the election? That your party is going to be faced in opposition by the Nigerian people.
That is comments rendered by people who clearly have lost confidence in their own political party. It's a statement of utter frustration. When you say, Nigerians is APC versus... APC is a political party. But when you suggest that APC will be pitched against Nigerians, denying the existence and the relevance of your own political platform, it shows just, people who are, completely confused.
Maybe because of the situation of things in the country and how it might be difficult for your party to explain to Nigerians how you are able to substantiate your policy alongside the result that we are seeing today. Are you able to tell Nigerians tonight that their lives are better than you met it in 2023?
The foundations of our national life are by far stronger today than we met it. You see,
based on what are the indices?
No, hang on. Let me answer your question. In your conversation with Kenneth, he was suggesting that a way to redeem the Nigerian economy was to actually, increase exports, reduce imports, and, achieve a balance of payment that was favorable to Nigeria. I don't think that man actually pays attention to the headlines, at least. Certainly not to the news, because he's clueless about the state of address of the economy. Just in the first quarter of 2005, Nigeria had a trade surplus of over 5 trillion naira. And consistently, for several quarters, our balance of payments have been favorable, consistently, meaning that we are exporting more than we're importing. So when he comes on national television to say, that is exactly what this government is doing.
You think the flotation of the naira is a good policy?
We had no alternative, Sheung, than to remove the fuel subsidy and to float the naira. Those were non-negotiable policy, directions, which I think everyone, including, his principal, Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, whoever, his principal might be, also committed to Nigeria in their campaign to float the naira and take out fuel subsidy. You see, let me say this. I listened to all the, just high-sounding talk that they gave to you in reaction to your questions. But, one thing that I have not seen from these characters who are coming together in this coalition, they have not told Nigerians exactly what they would do differently from what this government is doing. You are a star journalist. Please tell me what they have told you in terms of policy prescription that they would champion that are different from what this president is doing. On what level, whatever. I can pause for you to actually tell me. There is not. They've said nothing other than simply attack the president and attack the APC. They have not told Nigerians what it is they are offering to Nigeria
Morka,
that is different. Yeah. So, when I ask you what's your name, you tell me your name is not Felix Morka. That is not your name. You tell me your name. So they must tell Nigerians what this government is doing that they would do differently and what results they would expect. So
your party is not having a sleepless night over this coalition.
Why would we have a sleepless
Look at the faces there.
Yes, I can't.
They are familiar faces, isn't it?
Very familiar faces of failed individuals who have left no legacy, who have had more than enough opportunity to govern. Every single one of them.
Including Rotimi Amechi. Including Peter Obi.
Who was speaker, who was governor, who was minister for, nearly a quarter of a century.
And you heard what Rufai said. He said he's going to send your principal, the president, back to Lagos to retirement in 2027.
Rufai is a Nigerian. He has, the right to free speech. He can say what he wants. And it's not everything that people say you take seriously. So he was talking to the air. He wasn't speaking to any, real issue or question.
He's talking as to the wave.
No, he was talking
to the wave of the opposition that is going to hit your party. And Kenneth was saying that APC will never believe the kind of storm that will hit it in 2027.
Like I said, wishful thinking.
And that endorsement came to Jonathan in 2015, and he failed to win an election.
Listen,
could that template be a lot of your party?
No, President Bola Tinubu is not under any circumstance to be compared with President Jonathan. These are two different, people in two different political eras. And this president, while they're busy, running and talking, this president is laying down legacies that are utterly transformational, that are solving Nigeria's problems that these individuals you refer to left unsolved. Even when they had the opportunity to do so, they didn't. They couldn't solve this problem.
If Kenneth, for example, said, this is the worst president in history, you are saying if they have not been able to do it, you are implying that he's probably the best president in history. Is that what you're saying?
Sheung, let me say this, and I've said it, before. This president in 2 years has done what none of his predecessors had done in the same span of time to really reset Nigeria's economic foundations for growth and sustainable prosperity. No other president has done that in 2 years. You see, let me tell you, when his predecessors, all they did was simply take Band-Aid and put on an injury, never bothered to actually treat the root causes of those injuries. That's all they did. Kick the can down the road for the next president. This is the president who came along and said, you know what, listen, enough of these pretenses. I will not simply seek popularity over doing that which I swore to do, which is to tackle Nigeria's problems at its root.
Just a moment.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah. So I'm able to unsee you in the first day I met you. I mean, a lot of Nigerians may not even know that you're more or less like a pastor before now. And you were an advocate of the Nigerian people. You fought for the people of Okonkwo. You fought for the people who lived in Ashanti. So I'm unable to unsee you in that light, even as you're a partisan person right now. And in all honesty, Mr. Morka, defend the decision of your party and your government with the examples of how lives of Nigerians have been better. Can you?
But I just did. I just told you.
In practical terms. We're talking as intellectual. But a lot of the millions of people who are watching now will say, yes, these are more of rhetoric, but in practical terms. And I'm very sure that on your mobile phones, as a politician, you won't have less than 10, 15 people that you service and transfer money to every month, isn't it? Are the lives of the Nigerian people better now than you met it? In practical terms, are they able to buy food cheaper? Are they able to transport in a cheaper way, an easier way? Now, in what practical terms? Can you give us 3 practical terms that in average Nigerian people's life is better now than your government met it?
Shehu, you talked about, we're talking intellectually. I think the foundation of your question, also has a certain level of, I think, almost, intentional bias to it. Your question is framed to produce a reaction that I think is, almost inappropriate for the conversation we're having. Because, you should background your question with the state of affairs of our country, even, way before the last 2 years. And, take it in the context of the challenges that you and I know this country was faced with. That we were simply, sitting on the brink, on the precipice of economic collapse. This country was, almost insolvent, was unable to even pay its own bills. Nigeria was borrowing to do basic things that a country should do. So when you ask this question, almost isolating the question from the, almost like the immediate past context in which that question is situated. I think that's actually an unfair question to ask. But I will answer you, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's your job to defend. My job is to ask the question.
No, you ask the question.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
But you also have a responsibility to ask the question in a way that I think takes into cognizance
I heard you. I heard
the parameters.
But you feel uncomfortable with the way I asked the question, but I don't think there's anything wrong in the question.
Listen, I'm not uncomfortable.
And I'm saying that, and I'm giving you the opportunity, free of charge. You're not paying for it. Your party is not paying for it.
Hang on. You invited me. I didn't ask to come here.
Yeah.
Okay, so, so it's mutual.
Go ahead.
You asked me to come. You should be thankful that I came, right? No, you invited me.
Your party should pay to...
No, you invited me. But
look,
listen.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Free of charge. Go ahead.
Listen, this president met an economy that was, in dire straits. An economy that has been in dire straits for decades. Let me say that in addition. This economy has been in dire straits for a long time. Not even in the last, 8 years or 10 years. Under Jonathan, under, President Obasanjo, the economy still was in dire straits because the fundamentals were off. And, for an economy to actually, evolve to meet the needs of its people, the fundamentals must be good. The foundation of a house must be strong. You can have a fancy finishing, but if the foundation of your house is actually not, well done, you have a problem. And that's what, all of the presidents before this, president simply left untouched, didn't bother to fix the problem where it needed to be fixed.
So Tinubu is a savior.
Tinubu, you may call him a savior.
I'm asking if he is.
Tinubu is an effective president. And he's a president who has come in, recognizing the problems, and decided, I'm not going to pander to please anyone. I am going to simply solve the problem so that tomorrow will be better for Nigeria. And already, yes, as he said when he announced those twin policies, the first subsidy removal and floating of the naira, he warned that it would be tough. Nobody said it was going to be easy, and it hasn't been easy. But there's also no country that has turned the corner, Shehu. No country that some of us travel to. People who
So things are going to get better? Is that what you're implying?
Things are getting better already. Now, when this thing happened, of course we saw, a sharp, spike in, inflation and, food inflation, especially affecting a lot of people. That is beginning to, come down. Commodities and the prices are, turning down. We're seeing, macroeconomic indicators looking up. I see, when you talk about macroeconomic indicators, you can't have microeconomic, good when your macroeconomic indicators are wrong. So usually, macroeconomic indicators are pointers that things are looking up.
Right.
Because it takes, a while for then all of those things, the things we worry about, the food
this is the way I would like us to anchor.
That's how,
because I'm being told that we're totally out of time. There is what has been described as insensitivity of endorsement by your party, and is by the leadership of the party. Do you think it was sensitive for your party to be endorsing the president, whom nobody has challenged within the party, whether to get a ticket or not in 2027, in the faces of tough things, and those who believe that things are getting better? Why endorse it? Does it look like a sensitive action by your party? Quickly, because we're totally out of time.
Why is it not sensitive? I don't understand why anyone would suggest that it's insensitive. Why? We're a political party. So it's okay for the opposition to bandy around and, saturate the airwaves with talks of, coalition and, you just quoted Erufai, speaking like, a child, talking about sending someone to Lagos and all of that. And it's not okay for the ruling party to, invoke its own internal processes to either affirm, the president who we believe is doing a fantastic job trying to bail this country out of crisis. Look, these are all political, statements. We are doing exactly what we were set up to do as a party. We have not breached any code. Otherwise, INEC would be on our case.
All right.
We have not breached any code. We're not campaigning. We're simply, passing a vote of confidence. When you talk about, endorsement, it's simply a vote of confidence on the president.
All right.
And we're very, very, committed, I think, to, transforming the very basis.
My good friend, Felix Morka. Thank you so much. A former activist.
Still an activist. Always will be.
I told you, I've not been able to unsee you from that eyes.
Always will
and there is a locus classicals about some of the environmental laws in Nigeria from the Supreme Court in that direction.
Yes.
But now you're a politician. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you
for your time tonight. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Man, thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.